for joining me after lunch. This sounds very loud. Okay, cool. It's a bit better. So, thank you for joining me. I'm going to be talking about a topic I'm very passionate about. It's pizza. Okay, you might not be that hungry after lunch, but I love pizza all the time. But I'm also going to talk about something called the value proposition canvas. So I'm going to give you a bit of insight into the Doyle family household on Friday night about a year ago. So Friday night is treat night. We tend to get takeaways. I don't cook on Friday. And it usually starts off with a ritual that my husband and I go through. So my husband will look at me and say, "Babe, what do you want to cook for dinner tonight?" And I'll say, "I don't mind. I pick every night. Why don't you choose?" And he'll say, "It's okay. I had lunch at work today. You decide. I'm okay with that." And I'll say, "Perfect. Let's have pizza." My husband will say, "Again, we're going to have pizza again." Well, you ask me. I don't understand what the problem with pizza is. It's like a perfect, well-rounded meal for a parent. It's got the dairy, it's got, I don't know, fruit, well, sometimes fruit, because apples are fruit. It's got salad stuff on it, it's got tomato puree, and nothing can healthier. And eventually, after discussing it for about 5 minutes, we'll agree that we're going to get some pizza. And I'll go off into the kitchen and go grab those cake menus that we've all got sitting in one of our kitchen drawers. We'll go through them and we'll decide what we're going to order. So I'll hand the order over to my husband, and it's his job to phone the restaurant to decide what it is we're actually going to be eating for dinner, well, to actually place the order. And it's weird because at this point in the ritual, things always go wrong. And how many of you have had bad experiences with phoning and getting takeaways? Can't just be me. I would say on average, 3 times out of 5, this point in the process breaks. So either we try a phone and the line's busy, and after 3 times of phoning, that's it, pizza's out the window and we're getting sushi, okay? Or we get through to the operator, they can't understand us or they can't hear us because the line quality is bad. Or the best one that we have is when they take down the address incorrectly. And instead of the delivery guy arriving at our house in Linden, he's arrived somewhere in Parkinson instead. We've even had to get in our car before and go drive and find the delivery guy. Sometimes we don't get quoted the correct amount, so the guy pitches up, and we're now left scrambling for the extra 20 rand that we didn't know was going to be added on for delivery fee. That's when we usually break into our kids' money banks and have to come up with some creative plans of getting that last 20 bucks together. The worst thing that usually goes wrong is they get the order incorrect. Now, any of you that have got a 7-year-old kid that gets a Regina instead of a Hawaiian will understand the difference that one ingredient can make in a kid's life. So it's quite a drama. We definitely had many years of like divorce material situations happening in our family. That is until we came across an app. Now before I tell you what the app is, I'm just going to state I don't work for the company. I am not affiliated to them at all, and yet I'm prepared to get up on stage and tell you about this app and how it is such a perfect problem solution fit the Doyle Friday night woes. I'm going to explain it using the value proposition canvas. Anybody heard of this canvas? Yeah? Okay, so it was created by the same guys that brought you the business model canvas, so Alex Osterwalder and co. And essentially it was created as a plug-in to the business model canvas. So it takes the value proposition, the custom segment, and it allows you to go down into deep level of detail. So business model, very high level. Value proposition canvas, a lot more detail. Okay. We're going to focus on one of the sections first, which is the customer segment. So the customer segment, let's call in this case the customer segment for me will be like lazy orderers or something like that. People that don't want to have to get in their car to actually go and collect a takeaway delivery. So your customer segment has got 3 different parts of it. So customer jobs, customer pains, and customer gains. And customer jobs are tasks or things that your customers are actually trying to do, problems that they're trying to solve, or needs that they're actually trying to satisfy. And you get a couple of different types of jobs. A job, if you think about, if you're trying to battle, or if you're battling to think what a job is, people usually hire a product to help them do a job. You get functional jobs. These are the specific things that you're trying to do a task, and that's a task-based job. You get emotional jobs, which is how you want to feel. You get social jobs, which is how you want to be perceived by others. And you get supporting jobs. So these are things that you would do in addition to the primary job that you're hiring that product to do. So in my case, the jobs would be things like, I want to feed a family. That's a very functional job. I want to feed my family, but I don't want to have to drive somewhere to actually go and do it. I want to get the order actually delivered to my house. I want to relax on a Friday. That's a functional job as well. And I want to be a pool mom. That's a social job. Okay, so I'm not forcing my kids to eat chicken and broccoli on a Friday night. Cool parents let the kids eat pizza. Cool parent. That's the social job. An emotional job of being in control. So again, I'm not just randomly buying soggy pastries from a petrol station on the way home. I still want to be in control of what my kids are eating, still ordering from reputable restaurants. So it is very much an emotional job of kind of control. Emotional jobs are not superficial. Well, all jobs are not superficial. Very often when we look at what a customer is trying to use a product for, we actually keep it too superficial. So if you're battling to try to get down deep enough into what is a customer trying to do, go through 5 whys. Ask yourself 5 times, why are they doing this job? Why are they doing this job? Why are they doing this job? And eventually you'll get beyond the superficial stuff. Next up is pains. So pains are anything that annoy your customer before, during, or after they are using the product. So there could be undesired outcomes. So a functional pain could be the solution that they're using doesn't actually work. An emotional one would be that they feel bad when they're actually doing that job. And the social one is that they look bad. Okay. You can also get obstacles, so things that are going to slow them down, stop them from doing the job. For a lot of people, that is cost, it's money. Money is an obstacle for a lot of people when they're actually trying to do a job. And risk is a negative outcome, an important negative outcome that your customers are trying to avoid. So for me, it's things like, I get confused by paper menus. I usually have multiple menus from the same restaurant and there are different dates, and I don't know which one's which. So a real pain for me is getting confused. I get frustrated by busy lines. Anyone knows me knows that I get frustrated by that kind of thing quite easily. Language barriers. You know, it is a problem when you're phoning a place and they don't understand you and you don't understand them. You end up getting the wrong order. Hungry kids. Hungry kids are the worst kids. Anyone who has kids will actually understand how hard it is to manage expected time of eating with kids because your delivery guys have actually gone to the incorrect address in the first place. I don't know the delivery time, so the default of the operator is they'll say, no, your order's going to take 10 to 15 minutes, but like it takes an hour. They don't actually give you a proper delivery time. I'm scrambling for cash, and I'm bored. I'm bored of the same restaurants because I only have those paper menus sitting in my drawer. And I've got angry kids because they got the wrong order. Okay, so these are all real pains that I'm feeling on a Friday. Next up is gains, and gains are things, these are positive outcomes or benefits that your customer is actually expecting. Okay, so for some people, or for some products, certain gains will be required. So without these things, your solution wouldn't actually work. Okay, so if it doesn't have some of these attributes, the solution doesn't work at all. Some of them are required, so your solution would probably work, but it wouldn't be as socially acceptable if you didn't have all of the attributes. Some of them are desired, so these are things that if you ask me as your customer, I would tell you I want them. Some of them are unexpected, so I wouldn't even know to ask for them in the first place. And some of my gains would be easy ordering. I want it to be convenient. I don't want it to be harder to order food on a Friday than to actually get in my car and go to the restaurant. So I want to be able to do this remotely. I want it to be easy and convenient for me. I want to have new restaurants suggested. So I also get bored of the same restaurant. So if there's a new pizza place in the area, I want to know about it. I also want to know about specials because paper menus have this habit of not updating the specials because they're kind of static that way. They're taken at a point in time. They don't actually update. And I want to be able to order favorites. So you tend to order the same items from the same restaurants over and over again. And what we then do is we actually start ranking customer jobs, pains, and gains in order of priority to your client. So the jobs that are most crucial to your client, you want to know what those are compared to the ones that are quite trivial. You also want to know which pains are extreme for your customer. Because that's going to help you when you actually start building a value proposition. You can start identifying which pains to remove first and which ones to focus on. Okay, so did I tell you the app that I use? No. Has anybody heard of Appetite? Anybody use Appetite? Handful of people. Okay, so Appetite is an online, it was actually created by a South African company, it's a South African app. And what you can do is you can place your orders online, you can decide whether or not you want your items to be collected or delivered. They SMS you the expected delivery time, and you can choose if you want to pay cash or credit card. But they're not a delivery company, they rely on the information from the restaurant. So if the restaurant does deliveries, then you'll be able to get deliveries through the restaurant themselves. Okay, so let's move into the value proposition. So again, it's made up of 3 different segments, so customer, products and services, game creators, and payment leaders. Products and services are really a list of what you offer to your clients. Okay, these are things that your customers are going to use to do jobs. They're going to use it to do functional, social, emotional, and supporting jobs. And they actually don't exist on their own. Products and services only have value when you look at the customer segment that will actually use those products and services. That's the only time a product or service would actually have value. On its own, if no one's going to use it, there's no value behind it. So you get different types of products and services, so physical, which is manufactured products. You get intangible, so an intangible product would be something like a copyright, or an intangible service would be after-sale service. You get digital products, which would be things like music downloads, video downloads, and you get financial products. So a financial product could be an investment product, and a financial service would be something like funding an asset. Okay, so the value proposition for Appetite for me is fast online ordering, faster than fast online ordering. I don't have to actually go through anybody in between. I can select to have my items delivered, and I can choose my payment method. And I have a list of restaurants with their menus online and available. Okay, so that's their value proposition to me as a lazy orderer. Okay, payment levers are things that remove pains, and they are the ones that remove specific pains to your customers. So pains in my case would be, or pain relievers in my case would be that it's always available and it's online. So I can actually go in, have a look at the menus online, and actually get the latest menus. I'm not relying on those paper menus sitting in a drawer somewhere. I can choose my payment method. I can predict the delivery time because they SMS me the delivery time, the expected delivery time, and I can list my favorites. So if I decide to order from my usual restaurant, I'll actually go in, and if I've marked my favorites previously, I'll be able to very, very quickly and easily order the same item. Game creators create positive outcomes. These are the benefits that your customers are looking for. So for me, that could be that I can do it on the couch, easy searching, so I can have a look at all the restaurants in close proximity to me, and easily go in and actually pick the order that I want. There's a variety of restaurants. If I decide to, I rather want Mexican or Thai, I can actually filter on the type of restaurants instead, and I can add special requests and restaurant contact details. Restaurant contact details is one of those unexpected game creators that the app provided for me, because a couple of weeks ago we used it and it was actually offline, and usually we'd have to go and pull out the paper menus, and we've actually got rid of most of them because we've now been using this app for about a year. But the app still provides the restaurant numbers, so you can still phone and you still have access to the menu even though the system's down. So you can actually still phone and get your delivery sorted. Okay, so that's, if you think about it, they're almost, encouraging people not to use their app, and yet we still choose to use the app. And the reason for that is because they found a really good problem solution fit. So if we look at the whole, let's quickly do this. So again, just like we did with the customer segment side, we want to rank these from essential to nice to have. So if you're ranking your game creators and your payment leaders from essential to nice to have, you are making sure that you are focusing on things that customer segment wants, not just everything. Okay, and these are things that are essential to the value proposition, not necessarily essential to the customer. That makes sense. So once we've done a value proposition canvas, it looks something like this. You have your value proposition side, you have your customer segment side. If you've got multiple customer segments, you would do multiple value proposition canvases. This is just one value proposition canvas for one customer segment. Okay, so there's another important customer segment that I haven't even touched on that Appetite had, which is actually restaurant owners. So they also use that app. They've got very specific products and services that they use, very specific jobs and gains and pains that they are trying to alleviate that we haven't even covered on here. So it's important to note that for one product, you could actually have multiple value proposition canvases. Okay. So once we've done this, we want to check for fit. And how we check for fit is we go through the gain creators and the pain relievers on the value proposition side. We check it against the customer jobs, pains, and gains. We see if we are actually satisfying or alleviating some of the pains and creating some gains for your customer. Once you've done that, you basically just check them off. Okay. Now you've got an understanding of what your value proposition is doing for your customer segment. But you're going to land up with things like this one here. So language barriers on the customer segment side. So you could have unfulfilled pains and gains that your value proposition doesn't actually satisfy. And that's okay, because you don't have to be everything to everyone. What you're trying to do with your value proposition is you're trying to satisfy the top pains and gains of your customer. So if you don't satisfy the ones that are not crucial to them, that's okay. And at the same time, you're going to land up with some stuff in your value proposition canvas, that one up at the top, where you actually don't have a corresponding customer pain or gain or job that they're trying to do. And when you have that happen, it means the customer segment does not value that part of your value proposition. So don't build it. Don't build it in the first place. It means your customer doesn't care about it. It doesn't mean that it is something that none of your customer segments care about. You could have another customer segment that does care about that product or service, but then you're going to put that on their value proposition canvas. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to hone in on very specific customer segments and make sure you're building a product that they are going to love. Okay. So there are different types of fits that you get. One of them is a problem-solution fit, which is what we've just gone through. A problem-solution fit is a fit on paper. Okay, you've gone through your customer segment based on research that you've done, and you've identified your value proposition, and you've actually seen if there is some kind of match, and we assume that there is some value in our proposition for that particular customer segment. But it's not good enough. We have to take it further, because everything that we've done so far has been based on assumptions. We haven't validated anything in the market yet. And we have to do that by getting out of the building and getting into the market to find out what the product market fit is. So those of you that are familiar with Lean Startup, that's what you do. You get out of the building and you actually start validating your hypotheses with your actual target market to identify if there is any value for the customer in your value proposition. Okay, because up until this point, just assumptions. And the final type of fit is a business model fit. It's a fit in the bank. So just because we've come up with a cool product idea and we've actually seen that the customers care about our value proposition, doesn't mean it's going to make us money. We've still got to work out how are we going to make money. Okay, so we've got to make sure that we're actually earning more money than we're spending. So you could use something like a business model canvas to do that. There's 10 good value characteristics of a good value proposition. Actually, we'll just come back to this one. So, the reason why this is so important, those of you that are in software development that are building new products, you'll realize that very often we actually start with technology and we work our way back. So we start with the solution and we start looking for a problem, rather than the other way around. That's a very expensive exercise in product development. You're going to make a lot of mistakes before you actually get to a product that your customers are going to love. Just by doing some work on paper first, and then validating those assumptions will help you out a lot. Okay, and use Lean Startup methods. That's where it's a really good fit with this product market fit. So 10 characteristics of good value propositions is that they're embedded in great business models. So again, you've got to make sure that we're actually making money. They focus on only a few pain relievers and gain creators. We're not trying to do everything for everybody. For our specific customer segments that we're focusing on the gains and pains that mean something to them. not to everyone. We're not building Excel. We're building a very specific product for a very specific customer segment. We have a large number of customers or a small number willing to pay a lot of money. Okay, the reality is, even in Agile, like we all into all the fluffy stuff, we're still going to make money somewhere. So we've got to make sure that this is actually going to make us money. It can't just be a product that nobody buys. We've got to align with customer on how customers measure success. Very often we assume that we understand how a customer measures success, and we impose our measures of success on our customers. Take a step back, look at your customers, and see how they would measure success of this product. Focus on the most important thing for a customer. So the most important jobs that they've got to do, the most extreme pains that they are going through, and the most important gains for them. Okay, not what you want to build, what is actually going to provide the biggest value for them. You want to differentiate from competition. Okay, so you don't want to just build the same thing everybody else is building. We want to address all types of jobs. Like I said earlier, we tend to focus on the very superficial jobs that customers are doing, but you need to go deeper. Look at those functional, social, emotional, and supporting jobs to make sure you've actually got a value proposition that's going to make a difference. And we want to outperform competition on at least one dimension. And they need to be difficult to copy, so they need to be sticky as well. So sticky means it's hard for people to switch from your product to somebody else's product. So if you think about iTunes, how many of you would just switch from iTunes to another music provider easily and not care about any of the music that you've already downloaded in iTunes and the value that you've actually spent there? Because you can't take that music with you. It's in iTunes, it's likely. So it's quite sticky, and that's what we want. We want our value propositions to be quite hard for our competitors to copy. And we want to focus on unsatisfied jobs, pains, and gains. So things that people don't actually have a way of resolving them now. That's what we want to focus on. And if we think that there is something that they're currently using to satisfy that job, we need to understand it. So people will often start building an app and they'll be like, there's nothing else like this app. It's the first app of its kind. That may be true. But there is another way that your customers are solving those problems now. You've got to understand what those are to make sure that you can differentiate yourself from the competition. So basically my final comment will be, the whole purpose of using something like a value proposition canvas is to make sure that you are not a solution looking for a problem. Okay, don't start with technology first and work your way back. That's a technology push, not a market pull. It's going to be expensive. What you want to do is, yes, you can start with what are we going to build. Why are we building it and who are we building it for is probably the most important question. Something like this may help you. That's me, I'm done.
So I'm going to shout. But thanks so much. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Angie. That's great. And you know, it's so refreshing to also have some of these pragmatic, how do we actually do it in business? What does it mean? How does this roll out? Where do we put the ticks, etc.? So thanks for that. We've got a couple of minutes if there are any questions, and here we go.
Angie, often with projects we start with the solution as well, with maybe understanding what the problem is. Could this be applied to projects as well, this principle?
Definitely. So I think particularly where you are building something like a product, using the project, even on a normal project work. So we did this exercise with a client that was thinking of launching a new product, to introduce a new line to their product essentially. And we went through the value proposition canvas and we actually realized that they were cannibalizing their existing market. What they thought was a new value proposition was actually the same value proposition because it was the same customer segment, the same pain, same gain, same jobs. So I think you could do it on projects. We've done it on projects, but it would have to be something where there is a concrete customer segment that you're focusing on. Otherwise, it's probably going to be a bit tricky.
Anyone else that I'm missing? No, be taller.
So how do you know who your customer segment actually is? How do you find out and what their jobs are?
So you would have to start with some kind of market research. You wouldn't blindly go in and just randomly make assumptions. But even if you've done market research, you're still going to have to investigate it further and really get out of the building and validate assumptions that you've made about your customer segment with your actual customers. So it all starts with a level of market research. So if you were a fast food place and you were trying to figure out what jobs people were trying to do, you'd actually go to the fast food place and start asking them. So if they were buying milkshakes, and this is actually a case study that was done in the States, where a particular fast food restaurant had a very high number of milkshakes being sold before 8 o'clock in the morning. And what they did is they actually went in and started asking people, why are you buying a milkshake? And essentially when they worked out what the real job was, it was something to keep people's hands occupied and busy on the drive to work in traffic. So they didn't want to donut because it's like messy and they'd get like gunk all over their steering wheel, and they didn't want to banana because like then they'd be stuck with like a dodgy peel in their car. But like a milkshake, you've got like a container, you've got a holder in your car, and it keeps you occupied because it's very thick. So the job that they were trying to do wasn't have a milkshake. The job was they wanted to keep themselves occupied on the way to work. So what that fast food place did is they actually increased the consistency of milkshakes to actually satisfy that job. So it has to start with market research. You can't just start with assumptions.
A lot of what you're saying here sounds like a marketing twist to a software area. Do you think that there is something to it, bringing market research and market and customer first type thinking into this environment?
I think there has to be. If you're starting with just developing software, it's going to be very expensive without understanding if you've got a customer on that level. And that's why we're saying don't start with technology first. Actually work out who the customer is. And yes, market research or marketing would do a lot of research as well, but they would be possibly a little bit more on who's going to buy the product, and maybe this kind of thing is really focused on how are they going to use the product and what sort of gains are they trying to get out of using the product itself.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. We are going to close this session, and you'll make yourself available in the Indaba room. There's some questions, obviously, some alignment that